I would be afraid of this going as long as game number 1 of Byun versus Dark, but actually Korean TvT is quite explosive. A decent chance there'll be a base trade as well here. In the top left of Resvan, still teamless, I believe. It is the Red Terran, GuMiHo. In the bottom right for Shopify Rebellion, it is Byun. GuMiHo is sent out in SCV. Cheeky SCV. Can't really do that. SCVE. Anyways, should be 2. Nope, just the 1. Alright, then he's gonna go for Proxy Murada. Or, actually, he could go Barracks at home, Barracks and Proxy. Okay. Alright. Wonder what GuMiHo is going to follow this up with. We have actually seen Terran players totally proxy everything after a 2-rack. Actually, Byun did that, I believe. GuMiHo is an odd player. If you don't know that, welcome to StarCraft 2. This guy's named GuMiHo, and he's kind of weird sometimes. Byun is going to 1-racks expand, and that might be actually kind of fine against what GuMiHo is doing. If GuMiHo is going for 2-racks, an actual 2-racks Reaper build, Byun would be in a lot of trouble. Byun is not scouting, and he's 1-racks expanding. This would be an ideal scenario for a 2-racks cheese. However, fortunately for Byun, GuMiHo is 1-racks proxying. And while that might lead to maybe 1 or 2 SCVs killed, it won't lead to the game over. Factory is being built at home as well, so it's kind of weird to have only a single proxied barracks. It's really weird, actually. Something tells Byun... Oh, I thought he... Never mind. So Byun goes for the low ground command center. His Reaper is out around the same time that GuMiHo's is, right? And obviously Byun's even more proxied. He's in his own base. So I don't actually know why you would proxy a single barracks going to a Reaper. I'm actually quite confused. It just seems like the worst of both worlds. You don't get to kill your opponent, and you don't get to defend your home. Ah! Byun wins the Reaper battle, but second Reaper is on the way for GuMiHo. Ditto for Byun, though, of course. So Byun is winning this game right now as he defends a single proxy barracks flawlessly, really. I mean, he did lose an SCV, I guess. Let me think through why you would do this. So, I actually am recalling in the depths of my brain here a build that Special did where he proxied a single barracks. I think it was a single barracks. And it looks really weird. But then what he did was he went into Cyclone and upgrade. Cyclone upgrade. And I realized the idea was that he was supposed to keep the pressure on his opponent. So even though it's not the biggest pressure ever, it is still pressure. And then if Byun eventually goes, well, F you, I'm going to counterattack, Cyclone wins all anyways. So as long as the Proxy Reaper buys enough time, GuMiHo will be fine defensively. And will be able to go into his Cyclone build with a floating barracks. So, I don't know who made this, but this is almost exactly what I recall Special doing in 2021 for one of the Stockholm season finals. And I'm not Roddy, but that kind of amazes me that I remember that. Second factory's on the way. Yes, this will go into mech. Byun, I don't know if he's super familiar with this build. I wonder if he's also scratching his head a little bit at the single proxied barracks Reaper. His medevac drops coming over. It's inferior to his opponents. 2 Cyclones versus 1. Maths. The medevac drop from GuMiHo hits around the same time that Byun hits. Who's actually in a good position? I'm not sure. We're just gonna watch it unfold. Cyclone damage from GuMiHo so far, not doing a whole lot. Actually, the lock-on's not in the medevac. GuMiHo will be able to pick up and leave. Byun's damage is so far doing a lot better, actually, as a Cyclone. Well, it didn't escape out of range. Byun microed right there. It looks like the mass SCV repair, the tank was going to go down anyways, but Byun could have saved his Cyclone had he pulled it back a little bit, so that was kind of weird. Definitely a mistake right there from Byun, who could have maybe done even more damage, more lost mining time for GuMiHo. Byun's not done dropping. As long as he's got a medevac and anything in the medevac, he will continue on, and 3 Marines will be bullies. 1 SCV goes down. Tank's not exactly the best thing to guard against multi-drop harassments, which I don't know if it's going to become multi-drop. Hold on, what is that coming up here? This is a Raven, actually. But it's still funny. 2 Cyclones finally go back home, and this is when Byun has got a skedaddle, but he sees the medevac searching for his medevac, and so the Raven now has a clear path into the main base. Auto turret comes down, going to kill probably 3 SCVs, if I had to guess. I was wrong, because I didn't have to guess. Byun, I think, is in a really good position. He's up 5 workers. He knows that it's mech. His third CC is over halfway done. The way that Special made his build work was that he really did keep up on the aggression. The defending Terran player did nothing but defend. First his command center, then his 2 bases, then his 3 bases, and Special was basically giving the fronts that he was intimidating without actually being all that intimidating. It was just the Cyclones having their upgrade, and then otherwise he was slowly building up his mech army, which is a very slow build. Oh, Raven will finally get destroyed. GuMiHo did not really keep up that front very long. In fact, not much at all. He's the one that lost out when it came to the drop v drop scenario. So I think Byun's in a fabulous position. I think he's going to win game 1. GuMiHo is in a really troublesome one. He doesn't have a 3rd CC, and he's building into what looks to be like a 2-base mech push, which does work occasionally, but I think you'd have to be in a better position than this. 3rd CC does come down on location, but it's still so drastically behind Byun's. The thing about a 2-base mech push is that bio players don't expect it. It's still uncommon, even though it's been kind of coming back a little bit. So they might be sieged up on their own natural. In this case, however, Byun actually does move out, and in the nick of time, too. So as long as his tanks are sieged up well, not offensively, but they're sieged up in position to protect his 3rd base, what wiggle room is there for GuMiHo? What does he have that's different than Byun? He's got Viking control, but he doesn't have a Liberator to capitalize on that yet. And with 3 CCs available for Byun, he can hopefully be scanning whenever necessary. GuMiHo's actually going to try and push it. I'm not sure this is going to work, however. The Vikings land, but after a lot of damage is already done to GuMiHo's army, well, maybe, no, yes, maybe, yes, no. Okay. That was a little more complicated, actually. The Raven comes in a little bit of a late timing, and the SCVs were pulled. Well, I thought we were going to die, but no, GuMiHo just admits defeat. GG. Yeah, an awkward one indeed. That was not how that was supposed to play out, basically. I think, weirdly enough, that would have been better if Byun's first Reaper was out in the map. The fact that his first Reaper shows up the same time GuMiHo shows his first Reaper means that Byun never has the awkward timing aspect, where he's halfway across the map and goes, oh shit, and runs back home, loses 20 seconds on his command center. Maybe miss micros, right? Because he's coming back home and reinforcing. It's not a lot, I think, that necessarily needs to be changed, but I think it's many little things that need to be changed to make GuMiHo's build look as smart as it can. And if a lot of things go somewhat poorly, it looks like a really poor build, you know? It's not that anything was atrocious, it's just that nothing really went well. Yeah. I would say go and watch that Special game, but I don't remember exactly what game it was. You kidding me? Jesus. Plus, I think Special still ended up losing it. Special, he does have some really creative builds, and I really like his ideas, but I also don't think he went into a 2-base follow-up. I think Special went into a 3CC. So it is different. But anyways. Anyways, a little bit of weird to start things off. Does not go favorably for GuMiHo, but, you know, it's the best of 5. You can try and do that. Top right, GuMiHo. Bottom left, Byun. Now on Royal Blood. If you guys didn't know, the Team Liquid map contest has been underway. I don't know if the voting is still available. I guess not. But we will be getting those votes in eventually. To June 4th. Yeah, it ended yesterday. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't give it a whole lot of detailed attention. But I did vote. So, Byun's gonna go for a weirdly placed 1-Rex, a factory expand. GuMiHo is also doing a factory expand. Yeah, factory expands. This is looking like a far more normal TvT. I was thinking maybe Byun would go for a 2-Rex. Just, he seems often enough that Byun does the whole, like, oh, you try to do this, let me show you how to do this. But, no, not this time around. And Byun wouldn't do the exact same thing GuMiHo did, because it is weird. It's, you know, relied on a bit more going well for GuMiHo, for sure. GuMiHo seems to be wary of a potential 2-Rex, proxied, or in base, so he does SCV scout despite also factory expanding, so it's the safest way for a Terran to play. I think it's appropriate, because like I said, I think Byun does do that. You know, someone tries to be cheeky to Byun, and Byun's like, oh, you thought you could do it? Watch me do it. But not this time around. GuMiHo trying to get the SCV. Nope. It is weak, though, and GuMiHo's Reaper is coming across the map, both of them doing an identical build so far, but Byun up 1 SCV. Game over, GuMiHo. Game over, man. Byun is the favored player, in my opinion. Now, their TvT results might not be all that different. I'm actually not sure. But Byun overall has proven to be the better player in pretty much all of StarCraft history, actually. Well, no, that's maybe a little, that's extreme. There has been time where GuMiHo is really good TvT, or he, you know, obviously won a GSL, so, you know, he's been good. Last time these guys met was about a month ago, and GuMiHo did 2-1 Byun. Before that it was Byun, before that it was GuMiHo, before that it was Byun, GuMiHo, Byun, GuMiHo. So Byun wins slightly more often in recent history, but it's really not super one-sided at all. Oh, that's right, they played in Gamers Without Borders. Totally forgot about that. But yeah, I still favor Byun. I would vote on Byun. I'm not trying to tell you how to place your brains, but it's too late for that anyways. Third command center is on the way for both players. They both also get up to that starport. It's actually kind of interesting that they both went for third CC before starport. It's a little coincidental. Wait, am I? No, I'm freaking out. I'm sorry, guys. That's the natural command center still finishing. You know, it's only 9 p.m., but it feels like it's so late. I am not used to streaming at this hour right now. Just kidding. I was like, that's really interesting. They both did such a greedy opener. No. No, GuMiHo is going to add in that kind of sneaky, cheeky Banshee. I find it to be about 50-50 on the success rate. Sometimes that one uncloaked Banshee does create problems. Sometimes it does nothing at all. I think the question right now is whether or not GuMiHo will try to play mech again. Byun, I have basically no worry. He's gonna go bio. He's gonna go bio. He's gonna go more bio. But GuMiHo, it's a little bit different. No faster fourth gas. Double Cyclone opener gives him some map control. Byun did go for a decent amount of units to Howling 3 Reaper, but not aggressively. And is Byun, who is now falling drastically behind on the third CC. Drastically behind. Drastically. But it is giving him more armies, so if he went across the map, he'd probably be able to stop that third CC from coming down really quickly. Faster fourth gas for Byun as he adds on the second starport. It's not exactly mech, but I mean, it technically is, so I'll admit defeat. But when I think of mech, I do think of multiple factories. I would call this just a build. It's a 2 starport build. But this really sucks for Byun because that Banshee just scouted it as fast as possible, really. However, it is one of those tricky things where it scouted it so fast, technically Byun could cancel it. Loses the Cyclone War on the front lines. The Banshee is now open to dealing damage with the Cyclone of Byun gone. She can come back in here and do some SCV damage and get a secondary scout, see that the starport was canceled, and Byun, well, is certainly having a weirder time than GuMiHo in game number 3. I don't know what you do from the situation in terms of going bio or mech, but this is really bad for Byun. He's gonna go into bio, but his third CC is so much later. He has to move out, but unfortunately, the move out's not as intimidating as it once was. 2 Cyclones are still controlling the map for GuMiHo, although they're not currently out and about. Byun is gonna try and take an indirect path to his opponent to try and get the jump on him from the left side here, hoping that GuMiHo is busy defending his right side over here. Could work, I don't know. Could. Might, maybe. I don't know. One thing that Byun has to do is try and do some damage, right? So either he gut punches the natural lickety split, or he gets on top of the third CC and stops it from mining. But right now, it doesn't seem like either option is incredibly likely. 3 Ravens are powerhouse, and they're going to drop all the auto turrets. But GuMiHo's army supply was very similar to Byun's. 2 Cyclones still available, apparently, too. Okay, one last little poke. And now GuMiHo's only down on 1 Cyclone. I mean, it's a bit of a wash, which is, I think, better than Byun could have asked for, actually. I was quite concerned about him, but it's not the best he could ask for. He was really hoping that GuMiHo would be far out of position, kind of haphazardly defending, and, I don't know, something else to go wrong, right? And GuMiHo did, at the end of the day, defend that with a faster third CC on location. Surprisingly enough, he does not have a faster stim. So that's something that Byun has going for him, but Byun is very far behind in the economy. Down 8 SCV, still no third CC on location. Upgrades are also about 30, 40 seconds behind that of GuMiHo, and if Byun's going to win this game, it will be through the later stages of TvT. The mid game will not be favorable for the Blue Terran. The late game, and then by late game, I do mean 3-4 bases to 3-4 bases. The later stage of mid game, I guess. Then Byun might have a chance. But, yeah. That's... Even that might not be true. He might still not be at even footing to his opponent. It actually might have to be an actual late game, so both of them maxed out. And then Byun can feel comfortable trying to play TvT. Combat shield's currently forgotten by Byun as well, not helping his cause. GuMiHo's moving out right now. He scans and sees 2 medevacs boosting, which means they probably just lifted. Medevacs are then used to scout, which was very dangerous. That's what it looks like anyways. At least Byun now has everything back at home ready to defend, because I think without the Marines, he might have been in trouble. That scan reveals a surprisingly... what's the word? Like, beatable army for Byun. He is not being overwhelmed in supply yet, but he will be eventually. And those combat shields will finish for GuMiHo. He might be able to bust his opponent. I think it's a bit too dangerous to do that. 2 interference matrix and a stim in. Might be a little too dangerous. The thing is, I think he could find maneuvering on the right side. He could kill these 2 tanks and then at least find some positioning over here, but will that get him very far? Perhaps not. Okay, he's gonna go for it. Alrighty, Roo. It was 1 interference matrix, by the way, so not as effective. And like I said, kind of opens up the right side a little bit, but not too much. GuMiHo coming in with a secondary force. Byun, so bold, so courageous, taking the risk, goes for an on-location 4th command center and just hopes that GuMiHo never scouts it. It could happen. Triple medevac drop, now picked up, scouted. He's gonna float right over GuMiHo's 2nd army. Oh, okay, very good of Byun to unload. Thank goodness for Byun fans out there, right? Now, he doesn't have combat shield, so his Marines are about to be slaughtered. 13 more seconds to go on that one, but as long as GuMiHo does not scout to the left side, I think Byun might be okay. More army coming over to try and defend against this will be fine. And GuMiHo's gonna find a defensive 3-base Terran, a tough nut to crack. The power of TvT, and Byun is hoping for basically exactly this scenario. GuMiHo trying to desperately, well, kind of desperately. GuMiHo wants to find a way to just win this game, right? He wants to get his hands clean at game number 2 because he has such a victory. He has a very good case for winning game number 2. But it's hard to defeat a 3-base Terran. Tanks are good. So you say, oh, well, I'll contain the guy. And then I'll still have leads. I'll have a bigger bank, I'll have a faster max out, I'll have a upgrade lead, and then I'll eventually win. I'll be able to produce starports, and this guy won't, is another big factor. But Byun's stuck in the 4th command center. So yeah, the upgrades will still be better, and GuMiHo is going to max out faster, but not to the point that he can do anything with it. And the idea of faster transitions to starports won't actually be true. GuMiHo, if he goes 4th CC done, now I can do the next stage. Now I can afford my triple starport and try and crack you with liberators and stuff. It would not work out. But he actually is going to go for the attack right here, right now. One tank of Byun not siege. So many of his Marines out of location. Byun hoping that his tank line would have defended his entire right side. Just made a huge mistake. He played around showing all of his Marines on the left side far too long, and now he is paying for it as well. He is going to lose the game. That 4th CC was very close to being a success, but he left way too many of his Marines away from his tanks, and GuMiHo just kept scanning and scanning and scanning and saying, well, you're still not defending them, you're still not defending them. I guess I'll just go for it. I think it's very different. If there's 30 Marines helping those tanks out, I think it's very different. Oh well. Is this 2011? Possibly. GuMiHo finally maining a race. The best of 5 continues on to Ancient Cistern, top right GuMiHo, bottom left Byun. I really do think Byun had a great idea to get him back into the game. I think it was working, but either he was trying to defend his 4th base from a 2 medevac drop, which would have been all too easy for GuMiHo just to throw in, right? GuMiHo throwing 2 medevacs over to the left side to enter into the main base would have scouted it and would have killed it. So Byun was maybe thinking, I'll just leave my Marines over here in case that happens, then it won't be an issue. And then the 4th will be a planetary, and I can scout GuMiHo's movements, and then it'll just be like a regular 4-base game. Or, the other option, the other thing that Byun might have been trying to do, is leave all of his tanks at home and push out all of his Marines for a potential counterattack, or run by, whatever you want to call it. Because we do see that in TvT. At some point, the tank count becomes too much to break through, even with a surplus of Marines. And so the attacking Terran kind of admits that they can't break it, and while they're admitting they can't break it, suddenly 50 Marines show up on their side of the base, and they go, what? No! It's a bit on the nose, actually, at this point in time. I think most Terran players do expect it, but yeah, that could have been Byun's plan as well. Problem was, his tank count wasn't actually that big. Probably was up to 7 or 8, I want to say. Which is a good number if everything's all together and it's stacked up on a choke, then you can't break that. But it's not a great number if you're trying to defend 2 different bases across a very big concave. So, whatever he was planning on doing with the Marines, they ultimately end up being his biggest weakness. Because GuMiHo saw that many Marines were displaced, so he knew he could crack the tanks. So quite unfortunate. Now, Byun goes for a 2-racks opener, which I thought he might do last game. Now he does it. GuMiHo has gone for a factory expand with no SCV scout this time around, so he will be a little surprised. But he is factory expanding, right? So that's better defensively. First Reaper shows up. GuMiHo's grabbing a second Reaper. That's going to go mano a mano. His Reaper comes back home, actually, so it will not scout the fact that it's a 2-racks. Now, that second Reaper is about to appear. There you go. So now GuMiHo knows. Well, 1 second. Now he knows. But the problem is, it's 1 Reaper versus 2. That first Reaper is going to get knocked down. The Hellion at least grabs the last shot on the second Reaper, which makes this a basically even battle. As Byun's 3rd Reaper needed the help of a second buddy to actually combat both Reaper and Hellion. So that didn't quite snowball the way that Byun was hoping it would. And GuMiHo will get a slight lead. His command center's faster, but he is behind by 1 SCV. Whose emote is that? Oh, that's great. Camping emote. Alright, so Triple Reaper just holding on to that high ground, hoping that GuMiHo makes a mistake, trying to go for a counterattack. GuMiHo is making no such mistake, at least not yet. And his command center finishing should give him probably a 2-worker lead, if I had to guess. No one's making me guess. You had to keep on saying that. Oh, Byun is the one that engages. Well, more Reapers, more crowd control, slightly more potential in Byun's army. But just because there's potential doesn't mean that the potential is always reached. I would know. As a child, I was full of potential. Haha, too real, am I right, guys? Anyways, no, Byun has to evacuate. Cyclone comes out, and that's going to be the end of any early game aggression. Byun could always backstab later on, but we'll see if he does that. Medevac popped out for GuMiHo. Byun does not know about that Medevac. Yep, does not know about it. He does have his own Cyclone, but there is it. Holding on to that high ground once again, hoping that GuMiHo takes a 2-direct path to his opponent's base. Now, with that in mind, Cyclone's completely out of position for defending the main. Byun is going to follow up his 2-racks opener with a 2-1-1, effectively. It's been a little bit this and that. He did grab Cyclone after all, and a Hellion. But yeah. There's the drop. Okay, the Cyclone did not come with this. I thought for sure it would. That's my bad. Just the Reapers and Hellions, GuMiHo. Reapers and Hellions gonna kill SCVs fairly fast. The Cyclone would not have done as much right there. 6 SCVs go down, and the Medevac will live. Byun, now behind by 3 workers, apparently was ahead by 3, despite the faster command center from GuMiHo. Tides, how do they work? SCVs, how do they work? Anyways, but now GuMiHo definitely has a worker lead. Stim is much faster for Byun, and he will gain the map control by being the one with the Medevacs. He has gone into a 2-1-1 afterwards. So GuMiHo has to respect that. But GuMiHo doesn't have to worry about it. Respect it, yes. Worry about it, not really. Zarakuze. Thank you for the 4 months. Or Syracuse, I don't know. Yeah, so much for the Reaper backstab. 2 of them get killed. So the reason I said that GuMiHo doesn't really have to worry about it is that GuMiHo is still in the better position. He's just now in the position of the 3-base player versus the 2-base player, which is actually a very familiar position for these 2 players, since both of them were playing TvT throughout the 2017, 16, 17, 18 era. Yeah. Yeah, both of them went the military after 3cc versus 2cc was the thing. Trying to keep that in mind is really difficult. But anyways, great Marine split in the front, so it tanked that first tank shot. The point is, they're very familiar with this situation. GuMiHo, as a 3cc player who had gained a lead earlier on, knows that as long as he plays it close to the chest, it's not going to have a lot of problems. It's going to wait for his stim, wait for his combat shields, eventually have a not just an even army supply, but an equally mobile army supply, but with a superior economy. And then Byun knows he has to do damage to his 3-base opponent to warrant being on 2 bases for as long as he is. They understand each other. And the way that things worked out after the meta developments went through of 2017, 2018, whatever around there, was that it worked out that all the Terran players basically admitted and agreed that the 3cc was just better. Theoretically, if you defend well, the 3cc is better. So we don't see many 2-base versus 3cc scenarios anymore. I'm getting really tired of saying the word C. Ugh. Third command center of Byun is cancelled. 100 minerals down the drain. GuMiHo managing to still find some damage to his opponent while being on the defense is, again, a bad sign for Byun. Decides to unload to take this fight, but yeah, it's a little bit too much to chew on. I mean, both of them had stim. Byun had medevacs and combat shields, but then GuMiHo had a tank and ravens. Yeah, Byun's not finding anything so far. GuMiHo's 3rd CC will still end up being faster despite it not being on location. And there is always a chance, by the way, that the 2-base player gets a faster 3rd CC on location. There's definitely a chance for that. Usually what they're behind is something like air control. They don't have any Ravens or Vikings, and they don't have as fast upgrades. And both of those things are true. Byun has no Ravens and does not have his upgrades finished. What he does have is a big old Doom drop that wanted to go into the main base, has to settle for attacking the third, and I think it will actually more than settle for that. It might actually go ahead and threaten it. So the drop still ended up somewhat successful, or super successful, actually. I don't know. More army than actually I think Byun thought there was. Only was the command center hiding some of the Marines. The tank was on the high ground. So Byun did bite off more than he could chew, tries to save what he can on the retreat, and does end up saving 2 tanks. But that's certainly not a droppable force, and there are missile turrets available because GuMiHo was expecting such a drop. GuMiHo has moved his 3rd CC over to a separate location. I actually think it might be better just to go back on the triangle, but, you know, his prerogative. Byun definitely overstepping. Happening as GuMiHo's combat shields finished up too. Definitely an overstep for Byun, who is now down 30 supply. His tanks will be well positioned, kind of offensively moving into GuMiHo's attack, so it's cutting it off from hitting anything important. GuMiHo will eventually leapfrog to a point that he can start hammering away in this 3rd CC, though, and that is the fear. And Byun's 2 tanks. Oh, the AI working against Byun here. They went to the right. They're supposed to go over to the left. And that's 1 less tank as well. It's not much. There's nothing you can do about it. Actually, he's going to tap out. Yep. Just a little too far gone. He did not want to try and play out an extended game where he barely holds on for minutes at a time. GuMiHo will take a 2-1 lead. The more we stay in this apartment, the more I realize that my seats, my chair, is Ziggy's. He thinks that it's his chair. On the top left of Babylon for Game 4, it is GuMiHo. On the bottom right, we have Byun. Kept wondering why, you know, my cat stares at me. As if I'm, you know, doing something. That's why he's staring at me. He wants his spot back. Alright, so Byun not really getting the better trade in a lot of the early games. I actually totally forget what happened in Game 2. Totally forgot. Totally out of my mind at this point. But the point is, he is not having the best TvT series of his life. The first game was great. First game gave me a lot of confidence in Byun's winning potential for the overall best of 5. But GuMiHo slaps back and then kind of dominates Game 3 too. Played that out perfectly. Pretty much perfectly, yeah. And I have more concern for Byun now, as he is on his last life. The last time these two played a best of 5, it was the Gamers Without Borders event 2 months ago. And Byun did win 3-1. But all the other series, more back and forth, still generally Byun favored. GuMiHo, hello? 1 racks expand gasless. Used to be, once upon a time, in both Brood War and StarCraft 2, that a 1-rex expand did mean gasless. You didn't have to emphasize that point. You didn't have to describe that point. It meant gasless. But, oh my god, when did it change? Legacy of the Void or earlier? Or was it Heart of the Swarm? I don't even remember, man. At some point, 1-rex expand always included a gas. Crazy. Anyways, so that's bringing it back. That's bringing it back. That's a throwback right there. It's not Throwback Thursday, but whatever. Throwback Monday it is. So Command Center finishes up. Marines are available. Bunker has to be made. If Byun had been really aggressive in the early game, for instance, a 2-racks cheese, GuMiHo is dead. 100% dead. Gone. No life in him whatsoever. Anything but that, GuMiHo is fine. Maybe a 1-racks proxy with second barracks at home also would be troublesome. But I don't think a 2-racks at home would have killed GuMiHo's opener. So yeah, there's really like 1.5 options to straight up punish GuMiHo here. Thing is, they're fairly likely options. You know, Turax is pretty common in this matchup, but GuMiHo rolled the dice. Ended up coming up fine. I don't know what you want to... It depends what dice game you're playing, I suppose. But he comes out fine for it, and he comes out, of course, ahead for it as well. Byun could still do damage, get a medevac in here, and he could kill lots of SCVs, but at that point, GuMiHo will have bigger and better units than just Marines. He already does have a tank on the way. No Cyclone, though, which limits his defense against anything, including the air. So dealing with a medevac drop might be a little troublesome. GuMiHo's going for a 3rd CC pretty quickly. Going into the bare bones, TvT, economy, tanks, and Vikings. Oh, yeah. Do you need anything else in your life? That'd be a nice cat. That'd be perfect. Byun's first drop is coming. Byun has no idea what he's getting into, just racing forward. Sees a 3rd CC already on the way. He's gonna try and get that stalled out. A Viking pops out, so that would be the anti-air, of course, if it survives! And then it proceeds not to survive. GuMiHo trying to collect his army. Oh, and deal with the Reaper and the Natural, that's what happened. Miss Micros is pretty important Viking. That would have killed his medevac, I think. It's so low already. 4 SCVs go down. GuMiHo still with a tremendous economic lead, because his 3rd CC is 70% done. But Byun, knowing of it, is going to go ahead and grab it on location, try and make up for that time, and also try and pressure. The thing that GuMiHo does have is, you know, a tank, so... Tanks are usually pretty good at defending, but then I'm looking at the rest of what he's got, and it's not much. It's not much. Handful of Marines. Raven is almost out. 2nd tank did pop. And Byun's moving up to 2 Ravens. GuMiHo is going to be in a difficult position, and man, the Viking would be so helpful at this point. Look how helpful the Viking would be right now. This would be foolish of Byun if he was doing this against a Viking. Very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Raven deterred from the main base at the very least. But the Natural not being able to mine gas at this point is kind of a big deal. You really do need the gas right now. I guess literally right now is not true. He does not have his engineering base, but usually GuMiHo would be doing everything that Byun is doing. So getting engineering base, getting reactors, starting up his 1-1. While producing tanks and medevacs, or Vikings. And if you have only 2 gases, you can't really do that. So he's gonna go up to 4 gases, because it's, well, time to go up to 4 gases anyways. But yeah, he's gonna be delayed on those upgrades, especially. A reactor is apparently able to be shot out. Yep. I would not have guessed that range correctly, I tell you what. But that was a nice defense of GuMiHo. Doesn't have to rebuild the reactor, which he doesn't have the gas for, and doesn't have the time. He does have some faster barracks production. Nah, not even that. Yeah, GuMiHo, despite opening up in such a greedy fashion, has taken more hits. So he is behind. Behind 2 workers, behind 9 army supply, behind upgrades and stim timing, behind everywhere we look. What's going on there, graphics? What's going on here? You alright, buddy? You okay, Command Center? Okay, we'll check back in on that in a second. Byun is not letting up on the aggression. He knows he has the upper hand, and he's going to use it. Was thinking about going for the dive there, but then decided not to, so he'll lose a tank for that wibble wobble. He waffled. He still really doesn't have to let go of this position. He can't engage, as we saw, but he doesn't have to let go of this position necessarily. Auto turrets go for an auto turret run by. The Raven goes for an auto turret run by. Byun's trying to break open these rocks. He doesn't pay attention. That was problematic. The Ravens might not have been very useful, actually. 5 SCVs, but you're gonna lose both Ravens? I think I definitely would have preferred them on the front lines. Tanks are lonely now that the Ravens have distracted, and actually the tanks are simply out of position. Byun finds the opening. Of course, he punches it. Goes into the natural with the stim still intact, gets that Liberator, gets the reinforcing Marines, and GuMiHo just does not have the army to stop that. He was totally reliant on the tanks. And Byun will strike back and bring us to a game number 5. Game number 5 will be on Dragon Scales. Everything on the line. The most important best of 5 to ever happen in the history of the world. Just kidding, it's for the Open Cup, but still, more cash, more points, and good practice. In the top left, we do have the Red Terran GuMiHo. In the bottom right, it is Shopify Rebellion's Byun. GuMiHo left Psystorm a couple of months ago, looking for greener pastures, and has not found them as of yet. Don't really want to remark on his potential business aptitude, but yeah, unfortunately for GuMiHo, still teamless, despite being such a great player and such a unique player as well. He is going to go for a actual Turax this time around, so it feels like we've been doing everything but. It's like we've been doing the whole, like, I'm not touching you, in terms of the proxy Turax, and we're finally going to get a proxy Turax. And it is straight up on there, isn't it? The barracks of Byun, so close to being able to see that. And when it's done, it will see it. I think. Pretty sure. 90%. Byun is factory expanding, which puts him in a better position to defend this. And now his barracks will be scouting it. He will have that advanced notice to keep his Reaper under his control. So this coinkydink is a bit disappointing for GuMiHo. Because that's always the chance that you have to win. Wow, I was totally wrong about that. Never listen to me, guys. I am bad at this game. Is it just me, or did that not show any more vision at all anyways? Like, barracks, like, buildings have limited vision. And when they're done, they have more vision. So I'm confused as to how they had no more vision. Well,
SCVs are under attack.
I admit defeat on that one. Also, Byun's going for a reactor first. If GuMiHo's first Reaper enters into the main, it's gonna be game over. Oh, and that's exactly... No, do it! Oh, this is like the 3rd game in 3 months where the Turax proxy player holds on to the first Reaper. There we go, now we're into it. It's still problems. The Reapers of Byun are still so freaking late. GuMiHo has a lot of potential here. Can he get the damage done? Byun's factory will finish. SCV's mass repairing to buy some time. 2 SCVs go down. 3rd one will fall as well. Both Reapers of Byun about to pop out. GuMiHo's about to have a 3rd, however. 3 beats 2. In case you need a reminder. Here we go. Here we go. 3 beats 2. 3 beats 2. And Byun's Reapers actually evacuate, which means that his Howland's going to pop out into the welcoming arms of the Reapers. And Byun is in a ton of trouble. In fact, I think he might be dead. He's lost so many SCVs already. It's looking very likely this is the damage that GuMiHo needed to do to actually win this best of 5. Hold on, though. A lot of SCVs going down. 2 of them barely surviving. And Byun's still losing 7 SCVs, though. I mean, he's only down by 5. So it's not totally game over yet. But like I said, I think that is enough damage to say that GuMiHo got what he needed from the Turax and also got what he wanted, which is a substantial lead. He's going to go up to a starport, and it looks like he is respecting the counterattack quite a bit. He's going to be going for a bunker for his Reapers, too. Not usually what you would see, but perhaps warranted because he has no wall. So that actually makes sense. Without a wall, it's a little dicey. But the bunker will make sure that everything's A-okay, no problem, guys. And the barracks will lift and scout the starport being delayed. So GuMiHo knows that his starport's much faster. What will he do with said starport, though? Will he go for a medevac drop? Will he go for a Viking? Will he go for a Liberator? I don't know. Bunker is absolutely perfect. Byun was going to just blitz on into that main base and is now losing out on his units. One more Reaper going to go down. And it is only the Hellion that is left over. GuMiHo might even feel powerful enough to go for his own counter-attack. Counter the counter? One more Reaper was made from the proxied barracks and it scouts and kills an SCV. It just scouted how many units are available for GuMiHo, or for Byun. Well, the barracks also could have done that, but then it went to the natural. And he says, nah, I'm not going to try and win this with 4 Reapers. Perhaps if it was 5 versus 2 and 2, there's a maybe there, but yeah. GuMiHo's starport finishes up much faster than his opponents. That's usually not a problem, though. Because the Cyclone is such a great defending tool, the fact that the T-Rex player... Actually, it's usually the T-Rex player is a later starport. So okay, in general, faster starports in a one base versus one base scenario don't do a tremendous amount of damage. That was a bit of a trade right there. But in this case, it's Banshees, so it's not really the starport as much as it is just having completely surprising technology about to hit Byun. If GuMiHo brings out a medevac, Byun can deal with that. He brings out a Viking for harassment, Byun can deal with that. If he brings out a Liberator for harassment, Byun can deal with it. The Banshees are a little bit different, as you do need to be in position to ideally stop them from doing any damage, but then you also need the detection, which is usually a given in TvT, and most of the time you go into a Raven, but it depends on where the Raven is. Banshee was seen and scanned and locked on immediately. Woof. He goes back on his gun. Oh my god. Okay. That is the only scan that Byun has right now. His natural command center isn't done. The Banshee of GuMiHo doing exactly what it wanted. 5 SCVs killed, 6, 7, and maybe an 8. Medivac's trying to heal, but it's out of energy now. Oh, he's gonna try and individually micro. Oh my goodness, that's desperation right there. Scan's available, by the way. 9 SCVs go down. Second Banshee's coming in. Second scan is available, but now we're talking about the lack of mules being dropped. GuMiHo is all over this game. He's got it, man. He's got a 19 worker lead. There's no way Byun comes back from this. I'm not even sure what Byun's thinking at this point. Does he pull the SCVs? Does he pull the boys? That might be the best option. He doesn't even kill that Banshee, please. Oh god. Make it stop! Banshee is not gonna escape, but I just... 16 SCVs killed. A whopping 20 worker lead for GuMiHo. If he throws this game, I'd be really sad for him. This is not throwable. He is going into mech, and I don't believe that's going to make him throw, but it means that he's not going to have particularly fast follow-up, so if Byun... I don't know. If Byun fast 3 CCs, he might be able to bring this back, and then he manages to stop GuMiHo from getting his 3rd CC down. Byun went for 2 medevacs. He's going to go for a big drop in the main base. I do like this idea. Does GuMiHo have enough units to defend? Technically, yes. Not all of them are going to be in proper position, but that might not matter as long as they can eventually get in position. Those Vikings end up killing one of the tanks in the medevacs as well. GuMiHo's Cyclones are awkwardly out of position. Oh, they killed a tank, though, so that's still pretty freaking good. And GuMiHo does have enough army to defend against this. This will not be the killing blow that Byun was hoping for, and if this doesn't win, then Byun doesn't win. It looks a little close, but there is another tank here, another tank over there. 3 factories worth of production as well. Eventually, GuMiHo will clean this up, no doubt about it. And he did not have to trade out SCVs to do so. Even if he did trade out SCVs, he'd have to lose way more SCVs, 20 plus, because 3 command centers are done for GuMiHo and only 2 for Byun. So yeah. Scan on the main of Byun reveals kind of nothing, actually. It's very, very plain. Starport of Byun is up in the top north, taking care of the Viking production, and he's going to follow this up into his 2 starport build, and I love that. I love these ideas. If Byun was behind 10 workers, I think this is fabulous. This is the real potential. But he's so far behind, so far behind. And GuMiHo did choose perhaps one of these scarier follow-ups. The production of mech is just not very fast, right? So you don't have a fast follow-up in terms of engaging, giving Byun time to potentially rebuild. Potentially. And, of course, you don't have a lot of reinforcements immediately. So you also maybe have a weakness where you're just not quite at enough tanks to cover your butt. But we saw that with the main drop, and GuMiHo still did fine. So now the only thing Byun can say is that he is able to get his third CC down location. Did I miss-see a second starport? Am I crazy? Did I just totally... Was it canceled? Was it scanned? Did I just make that up in my brain? Anyways. Well, okay, it's not double starport. I still don't think it's still problematic. Oh, the Viking Cyclone hit squad. Well, Byun's gonna wish he had a second starport. He's gonna tap out. GG, GuMiHo. With a 3-2 victory. GG. Well done, GuMiHo. Well done. I considered him a bit of the underdog, but he proved me wrong today. Well, I mean, I think technically he still is, but still, he did win today. Which means someone out there is getting paid big brains, right?